All right. So, do you have fears as a micro business owner? Hi, y'all. Thanks so much for joining me. In less than 15 minutes, I'll be sharing with you 5 fears that we have as micro business owners, and you'll see that you are not alone. Drop me a comment if you want to learn more about this. I'm Dr. P. Oh, Learnly. Hi, Learnly. Thanks so much for joining. So, talking about these fears that we might have as micro business owners. And like I said, you can drop me a comment if you want to learn more. I'm Dr. P. I'm a strategic business coach, and I've been a school psychologist for about 10 years in K-12 schools in the U.S. I served on professional organization committees, still am, and I still teach at the master's level for our psychology program online. I love online learning. So, do you have fears as a business owner? Successful Dose, hi, thanks for joining. I haven't seen you in a while. Thanks so much for joining me on Instagram. So, do you have fears as a business owner? I bet when I share with you this list of 5 fears, some of these fears are going to hit with you. You're going to be over there nodding your head going, yep, because you're going to be in agreement with some of these fears that I'm going to be sharing, right? And just know you're not alone, because if you think that the person next to you, right, the person on the other side of that door, wherever you're living, or the person you can see through your window doesn't have fears, think again. We all have fears. We all fear something at some point in time. It's just really how we deal with those fears that makes a huge difference with the successes that we experience. They really do. So like I said, you're not alone. In my training and experience as a school psychologist, I've worked with students who were referred for evaluations because of concerns for anxiety. But now you might be wondering, what the heck does anxiety have to do with fears, right? But the thing is, anxiety is a type of fear. And fear and anxiety sometimes last for short periods of time, but then other times they can last for longer periods of time. And if you're in a situation where you feel as though your fears and anxiety are lasting a little bit too long, or you feel as though you can't seem to shake them at all, I highly recommend that you reach out to a mental health professional in your area through your insurance. You can even look for one of the mental health apps that are available on Android and on iPhone, so that you can get the help you need. Because if you're at that point of feeling like shaking it, but you can't shake it, then you might need that added help from a mental health professional. But talking about today's topic is looking at those fears and anxieties that we might be experiencing every now and then as business owners. Because like I said, we all experience them. And 5 fears that micro business owners go through, and other small business owners, even CEOs of companies, those are the 5 I want to talk about today. You might be experiencing them, or you may have experienced them at some point in time. But like I said, you're not alone, because we all go through these stages as we're developing our businesses. So today, you might be leading your company and thinking, oh my gosh, I remember those fears I had when I started, and you're looking at where you've come today. Be proud of where you've come from. I'm not saying that you no longer have the fears, but I'm saying be proud of where you came from, and what you've done so that you can overcome some of the fears and anxieties that you've had in your business. But again, you might still got them lurking every now and then. That is fine. We're here to support each other with them. So those 5 fears I want to talk to you about, I actually took these 5 from a Vistage article that I was reading. The article really was targeting CEOs, but as I was reading through it, I was like, you know what? As micro business owners, we experience these things too, right? And I said, I want to share this with others. The Vistage article actually had about 6 different fears, but I only wanted to talk about 5. You can always check out the article to learn about the 6th one. So let's get started with these 5 fears. Guys, are you ready? The first one is fear of failing. Come on, you can raise your hand. I know you've been there when you had that thought about fear of failing, because we all fear failing when we're starting something new. Because you're over there nodding your head because you understand where I'm coming from. Because as a business owner, you might be new to the business, or you've been around for a while, but you want to be doing something different. And you might have this fear of failing, right? Because You probably, when you started that business, you were like, peace out, I'm done, to hell with y'all, I'm going to do my own thing. Or you told all your family and friends, hey, I'm going to have this business, and in 2 years, at the end of the year, in 6 months, this is where I'm going to be. But you're not quite sure how you're going to do it, right? So that fear of failing probably crept in. But guess what, though? If you want to be successful, you're going to fail at some point in time. I mean, if you didn't know that, hey, newsflash, you are going to fail. But it's what you do when you encounter that failure that makes a huge, huge difference. Because for every success you're going to experience, I would love to say you'll only experience one failure, but depending on what the situation is, you might have experienced 4, or you may have experienced 5 failures to get to where you are. The point is that you're learning as you are experiencing those failures, because they take you so far. Don't let one failure stop you. You're going to experience the failures, and then an opportunity comes, a learning opportunity comes, where you can see, okay, where you went wrong, what went wrong, then you learn from it, right? So the fear of failing, you're not the only business owner who has that fear of failing, okay? You're not alone, but learn from your failures if you want to continue to grow and get better. So don't let your fear of failure stop you from working towards your goals. So that's the first one. The second one is fear of making the wrong decision. Have you been there? Are you there right now? You might be there right now with that fear of making that wrong decision. Because now you're not an employee sitting in a company, where you have a task outlined to you, you have other people who are going to be working with you on accomplishing this task. No, you're a business owner, right? It's your business. It's you who have to be making these decisions. And it's a lot of weight on your shoulders. You're like, holy crap, I got to be the one to make the decision of where we post information, what we post information, how we hire, so it's so many things that are now resting on your shoulders. Who are you going to partner with? Who is going to be your vendors, your suppliers, however you view it, where you're going to go and share about your business. All that weight is now on your shoulders because you are the business owner and you have to make decisions. So then it comes in that you have this fear of making the wrong decision. But what is the right decision? Does anybody truly know what the right decision is? Because I can tell you this, it is going to depend on your business. Because the right decision for me might not be the right decision for you. Right? Learnly, it might not be the right decision for you. Because our situations are different. What we're looking for is different. What we're expecting, what we're needing is different. So here's what really helps with it, right? Is getting as much information as you can so that you can make an informed decision, right? So as much information as you can gather, you gather it. So that way you're in a better position to make an informed decision and you can make the most appropriate decision for your business. And I'm not saying that's foolproof because we can only make decisions on the information we have, right? And as you are in the midst of executing this action, this behavior, you might learn something new. And then you have to make the decision of, should I add this other thing or should I keep going as I'm going? So you have to know, okay, what was the purpose of this action? What was the goal you're aiming for? And really help yourself with making sure you're using all of the appropriate information to make the most appropriate decision for your business. That is what will help you and to avoid feeling as though, hey, I don't want to make the wrong decision. You got to go there. You got to use the information you have. The third fear that I want to talk about is a fear of being an imposter. Now, I remember when I started my business, I read a lot of things and I came across this thing about imposter syndrome. Right? Raise your hand, if you heard about imposter syndrome, because I heard about this. And if you're not quite sure what it is, here it is. Very simple. Imposter syndrome is doubting your abilities to run your own business and feeling like you're a fraud to do your business, right? And at some point in time, many of us, if not all of us, have had that feeling. And it is different. Being an employee in a business versus running your own business is different. But here's what I want to share with you though. You started your business because you saw there was a need for what you have to offer. That's why you started your business. So if you saw there was a need for what you have to offer, then focus on that. Focus on the skills that you're bringing to the table to help share what you have to offer, to help others with whatever it is the problem you believe that you're solving with your business. And look at your own abilities and use them. I'm not saying that you're going to have all of the skills necessary to accomplish what you want for your business. But here's the thing though, you can hire people, you can contract people, you can bring people on as a team, as W-2 employees here in the US. You could bring people on or you could contract them. So that way they can fill in where you don't have the skills to be moving your business forward. That is the power of one, collaboration, and two, working with others, bringing others onto your team so you can utilize your skill sets. And another suggestion in that Vistage article was about reaching out to see if there is a coach or a mastermind that you could be a part of so you can work with other business owners, not necessarily in the industry you're in. And that's great because you can work with other business owners and you can really talk about where your strengths are and how you can utilize them so that you can help reduce that doubt that you don't know what you're talking about for your business. Because again, you walked out of that business to be your own business owner for a reason. And thanks for joining on Facebook. As you join, you can say hi and where you're joining from. Really appreciate y'all joining me today because we're talking about these fears that we experience as business owners, right? So that fear of feeling like an imposter, like I said, you can reach out to others in a mastermind group so that you can really start focusing on what you're bringing to the table so that you can reduce that feeling like you're a fraud. Because again, you walked out of that business, started your own business for a reason. You walked out of that previous employment and came here to start your own business for a reason. Don't give up on that reason. Always remember your why. So those are 3 out of the 5 fears, right? So 2 more to go. So almost done. So the 4th one is a fear of taking risks. I know taking a risk can be very uncomfortable, can be very anxiety provoking. Learn Lead Online Tutors from Leander, Texas is in the house on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining. So talking about taking these risks, we might have this fear of taking a risk. Guess what? As a business owner, you're going to have to take risks. As an employee in a business where you were previously working, you might not have had to take risks depending on the type of job that you had. If you were in an executive or a leadership type position, you may have been in a situation where you had to be taking risks. But if you weren't in such a position, you probably didn't have to take risks. But now you're a business owner and you're like, oh my gosh, I actually have to take risks. Yes, you have to move out of your comfort zone and actually make decisions that could be risky. But guess what? A risky decision might actually be a very beneficial decision for you. But you won't know unless you take that risk, execute that action, and see what happens. But don't do it blindly though, because there are some options out there where you can do some research and to see what are possible outcomes for that risky movement that you're looking at taking. You can do that research. And as part of your planning, you should have a business plan. And you should also have a contingency plan. And if you didn't have a contingency plan this last year, you probably are working on that contingency plan. And I'm talking about the fact that you're looking at possible risks that can occur and how your business is going to respond to those risks, right? And so those things do come in handy for us. And like I said, you got to go outside of your comfort zone every now and then. And I know it can be anxiety provoking to take a risk, but sometimes we have to do it for the benefit of our businesses. So those are 4. So on to the 5th one. The 5th one is fear of not being a motivator for your team. And I know you've worked really hard to get team members on board and you're like, yes, I have all the right people, but yet you might start losing people, right? And you're like, what the hell? Why am I losing people? I thought I brought the right people on board on my team. I thought they were good. But when's the last time you had a conversation with them? Because you might be saying, hey, I'm not quite sure how I can motivate them, but you still want them to be there on your team. So you still need to connect with your team to see what is happening. Because if you feel as though you can't motivate your team, it could very well be you've not had that conversation with your team members to learn information about them, to learn about what they need, and especially what they need to help them grow as well. So yes, you want morale to be high, you want productivity to be high. That's all great. You want your company to be functioning with team members. But if you're not motivating them, then yes, it can be detrimental to having a team. So if you have that fear of not being a motivator, it could be because probably you're not motivating your team. And here are the ways that you could do that. Reach out to your team members, get to know them. Google does a thing where they get their staff to actually send in questions to the leadership, where leadership can answer questions and share information with them. So if you're feeling as though you don't know how to motivate your team, that's another way you can do it. Have conversations with them. I've seen people hold actual meetings in person, virtual meetings with their team members to really get to know them, to see what's going on, so that way they can reduce their fear of not being a motivator for their team members and actually learn about what is going on with their team members to help keep them motivated for moving forward in their role within the business. So the whole reason why all of this became such an interest of mine today is because the whole thing about fear and anxiety as business owners is one of the courses I am working on. And if you want to learn more about that course or want to know when it's going to be released, I highly recommend you take a visit to our website, and you can sign up on the website so that you can get those updates for when I'll be releasing that course. The website is www.drpksolutions.com. I am Dr. Priscilla Kuser with Priscilla Kuser Consulting Solutions. We talked about 5 fears that micro-business owners experience. You are not alone in experiencing those fears. You can watch this on a replay if you are now joining, so that you can find out what those 5 fears are. Remember, solutions plus actions equals results. Thank y'all so much for joining me on Instagram and on Facebook. Bye, y'all.